Hey, this is Chris at Rekkid Talk, and so we're going to do a contest entry. This is for Dave. His channel is called oldbeatlemaniafan. He wants us to show 5 from 1965. He said 5 from 65, so I guess it could have been 1865. So if I had like a good classical and opera collection, I would have done that, but I don't. And so the original video was on Rachel The Music Mam's channel, so I'll link to that video. I'll link to the playlist with what's been created so far. I kind of took a different track to this. I tend to actually not have a lot of 1960s music in my collection. And so what I chose to do was my favorite covers of songs from 1965. I'm going to take a few liberties along the way. I hope you don't mind, Dave. So first is an honorable mention, because I don't have a physical format of this, but the song Lightnin Strikes, which was originally done in 1965 by Lou Christie. There's a very clever, weird cover version of this by Klaus Nomi in 1981. I'll link to that if you've never seen that. If you don't know who Klaus Nomi is, he was sort of... he was originally from Germany. He'd moved to America. He was sort of part of the gay artsy sort of fringe in New York City, sang in this very operatic, over-the-top style. And so I'll link it up. It's kind of hard to describe. All right, but stuff I actually own. So there was a song called Mr. Tambourine Man, written by a guy named Bob Dylan, but I like the Byrds version better. So the only thing I have by the Byrds is this Greatest Hits CD compilation. Mr. Tambourine Man is the very first song on it. Is also on this Bob Dylan Greatest Hits compilation that I just showed you as well. While we're talking about Mr. Bob Dylan, here's another Dylan cover I'm going to talk about. PJ Harvey on her Rid of Me album, which came out in 1993. She did a cover of Highway 61 Revisited. And so I very much like PJ Harvey on that song. The Rolling Stones, they did a song called I Can't Get No Satisfaction in 1965. It was covered by Television. It's not actually on this CD. I'm twisting the rules a bit. But I have a download version of Marquee Moon that's enhanced that also has another album called Adventure and then a live album called Live at the Old Waldorf. In San Francisco, 1978, at this place called the Old Waldorf, part of Television's set was a cover version of I Can't Get No Satisfaction. The Rolling Stones did in 1965. And then there was a song called King of the Road that Roger Miller did in 1965. That was covered by REM. It appears on their Dead Letter Office. This is sort of a compilation of EPs and B-sides. I'm going to read to you what guys from REM had to say. So, Walter's theme, King of the Road. I suppose that if we had any shame, we would never have let this little gem see the light of day. This was recorded at the very end of a long Alco Cirque day, and I can barely remember cutting it. The first part was an attempt at writing a commercial for Walter's Barbecue. The second part is King of the Road, kind of. If there was any justice in the world, Roger Miller should be able to sue for what we did to this song. So these were some liner notes written by Peter Buck from REM. But I actually think their version is kind of cute, even though it sounds like I like it better than Peter does. And then the last thing I was going to do, so I know, Dave, you must be a Beatles fan. So I figured, hey, lots of people cover Beatles songs. I was searching through my collection. It seems like the people that are represented in my collection when they cover Beatles songs are covering stuff from late in the career. I couldn't find anything that was covered from a Beatles album from 1965 in my collection. So I'm going to instead go an incredibly convoluted route to get there. So there was a song called Act Naturally, written by a guy named Johnny Russell. Then he knew a person named Vonnie Morrison. She knew Buck Owens, showed the song to Buck Owens. Buck Owens decided to record the song in 1963. And then Ringo Starr heard it, and Ringo Starr liked it. And my understanding was that Ringo was responsible for that being recorded by the Beatles in 1965. It shows up on side 2 of the UK version of Help, and is the B-side of the Yesterday single in the US. And apparently Ringo, this is a song that he sang for. It was one of the songs that he sang for the Beatles, and it's something that he's performed it a lot in his solo career. It was a staple of Buck Owens and his Buckaroos as well. So what I have in terms of physical content is this live album, Carnegie Hall Concert from 1966. And yes, they do perform the song Act Naturally. In fact, it's the very first song on side 1. There it is, Act Naturally. And so we've got sort of a Beatles connection there, and a Buck Owens connection there, and sort of a 1965 connection there. That song was subsequently covered by lots of people, including Loretta Lynn and Dwight Yoakam. So there's 5 sort of-ish covers of songs from 1965.